She gets up at 4 in the morning to put on her makeup. Then she wakes the kids. She starts making breakfast for them. After that, she steps out into the darkness before dawn. Once she drops the kids off with the neighbor lady, she rushes toward the train station again. She barely catches the train at the last possible second. After a long, exhausting hour on the rails, Julie finally arrives at her workplace. Julie works at a 5-star hotel. Once she changes into her uniform, her long day officially begins. She straightens every sheet and blanket with precision. She fluffs every pillow until it looks perfect. She scrubs every bathroom until it's spotless. She approaches her work with absolute discipline. Thankfully, lunch is the only moment when she can breathe a little. It's the closest thing she gets to a break in her hectic life. After her shift, she takes a deep breath and repeats the same frantic routine from the morning. She reaches the station only to find the subway shut down due to a massive strike. She rushes to the service desk in panic and learns there's only one train left heading toward the suburbs. So she starts running again with everything she has. By the time she finally gets home after that long trek, night has already fallen. When she picks up her kids from the neighbor, the woman complains that her son has been a handful, difficult to deal with, and suggests she find someone else to watch them. Julie forces a tired smile and says she'll try, but asks her to please keep helping until Friday. She brings the kids home, tucks them into bed, and reassures them. Then she starts ironing clothes, because tomorrow's interview means everything. At 4 a.m., her alarm goes off again. Another day begins. She drops the kids off with the old lady, apologizing for troubling her once more. But luck isn't on her side. By the time she reaches the station, the entire transit system has collapsed again. Without stopping to think, she rents a car, only for it to break down halfway there. Luckily, a black guy driving by is also headed to Paris and offers her a ride. Even with his help, she still shows up late. Fortunately, the whole city was affected, so she wasn't the only one behind schedule. The manager doesn't mention it. While cleaning a room, she discovers a guest left the place covered in human waste. No one wants to touch it. Julie decides to use a pressure washer, even though it might damage the floor and completely breaks hotel policy. But she doesn't have the luxury of worrying. She has an interview later that afternoon. After finishing her tasks early, she asks for permission to leave. But when she arrives at the interview site, her confidence wavers. Everyone looks like a top-tier professional. After a brief sit-down, she walks out disappointed, convinced she didn't get it. On her way back, she calls her ex-husband to watch the kids, but he doesn't answer. She struggles to find a ride and finally hops onto a late bus home. By the time she picks up her kids, it's already night. With everything going wrong, she can only survive one small crisis at a time. The next day at work, a coworker tells her the manager knows she skipped a shift, and her partner for the day is furious. Julie tries to explain why she was late, but her coworker, sweaty from cleaning suites, refuses to hear it. Then an important phone call comes in, filling Julie with a rare flicker of relief. The company from yesterday wants to see her again. Same time, same place, for a department interview. But her happiness barely lasts a moment before the manager shows up. He scolds her for constant tardiness and early departures, warning no one can keep covering for her. He ends the lecture without hearing a word of explanation, telling her she should know better. Swallowing her pride, she now has to find someone to take her shift tomorrow. She asks everyone she can, and no one agrees. She finally approaches the coworker who has the day off, begging for help, but the rejection isn't the only thing crushing her. The strike has frozen all transportation again. She calls the neighbor, hoping she can watch the kids overnight, only to be scolded and abruptly hung up on. Panicked, she asks the station worker again, but there are no trains running. Out of options, she walks away from the station. Every minute feels precious now. With no way home, finding a place to rest becomes her only goal. She finishes the employee evaluation forms late into the night, but the unfamiliar room and the weight of everything on her mind keep her awake until morning. The next day, she approaches an intern, asking her to clock out on Julie's behalf. In return, she promises to help the intern pass probation. Using her lunch break, Julie powers through her entire workload. She eats just a few bites of her packed lunch, then finds the new hire to explain the afternoon duties, and quietly asks her to swipe the access badge. She picks out a suit and swipes her credit card again. She knows every workplace expects a certain look. Since the interview building has no lockers, she hides her old clothes in the restroom. Right then, the manager calls, saying they need to talk tomorrow. She pushes the worry aside for the moment moment. As she sees the interviewer approaching, she takes a deep breath, resets her composure, and answers every question about expectations, goals, and company vision with clarity that impresses the panel. But the final decision will come in a week. Only by giving her all can she hope to become someone better. After the interview, Julie heads to a rental shop and picks up a small van. That way, she can go home and bring her son's birthday gift back with her. She loops a resistance band around a tree and drags the heavy crate out of the van in a rush. Then she finally returns to the neighbor's house for the kids. The woman complains again, suggesting she work at the local supermarket instead. Julie politely turns her down. The next morning, she arrives at the hotel and slips into her uniform. Almost immediately, the manager calls. He tells her the new employee clocked out for her, which violates company rules. He also brings up the pressure washer incident. Julie panics. She's broke. She has 2 kids depending on her, and she can't afford to lose this job. The manager finally gives her one last chance. Julie keeps her position for now, but she's shaken to the core. She feels like her life is collapsing all over again. Julie calls the company herself to follow up, but they tell her that since she never heard back, it means they've already chosen someone else. Losing that chance at work hits her hard, and things at home aren't any better. She wants to buy birthday supplies for her son, only to find her credit card completely maxed out. All she can do now is pick out whatever essentials she can afford. After finally catching a shared ride home, she learns her kids were dropped off at an emergency contacts place by the neighbor. Whether out of stubbornness or love, she stays up late putting together a birthday party for her boy. By coincidence, one of the children's fathers turns out to be the man who gave her a ride the other day. Having another familiar face around, Julie finally gets a moment to just play with the kids. She manages to throw her son a meaningful birthday celebration, and the joy of it all overwhelms her. This Saturday becomes one of the rare days that feels full and warm. When the man hears her water heater isn't working, he even steps in to fix it. After the party winds down, Julie watches him walk away and can't help leaving another message for her ex-husband, telling him he didn't even call for their son's birthday and that if he wants to hide, he may as well stay gone forever. That night, once the house is cleaned up, she sinks into a warm bath, wanting nothing more than to hold her son close for a while. She feels that not giving him a complete family is something love alone can't make up for. When sunlight hits her face the next day, her daughter climbs onto her shoulder and whispers, "Mom," telling her it's already 1 p.m. and the snacks are gone and she's still hungry. After feeding the kids lunch, her ex finally texts her back, saying he's been working somewhere with no signal and promising he'll make up for missing the birthday and the child support. Julie tries to call him back, but at that moment, the kids forget to secure the trampoline net and her son suddenly falls off. Luckily, after a checkup, he's okay, but the scare cracks something inside Julie, adding to all the helplessness she's been carrying. And as if the world is determined to keep pushing her down, the next day on the way to work, traffic is completely jammed. The driver says walking might be faster. With no choice, Julie jumps out and runs. This is her final chance. But even with everything she has, sprinting against time, she still ends up late. She scans her badge, only to realize the door will never unlock for her again. She begs the doorman she knows, but he can only shake his head and deny her entry. Julie has been fired. Lost and trembling, she walks the streets of Paris, tears streaming uncontrollably. But with 2 kids depending on her, she forces herself to stand back up. She calls the company from her last interview, only to be told bluntly that they only contact the people they hire. No call means no offer. Life hits her with another brutal blow, and Julie finally bows her head to reality. She deletes the parts of her resume that mention her economics master's degree and her job as a marketing research manager. Then she takes the new version to a supermarket to apply as a cashier. But with no experience, she's rejected again. She ends up becoming a full-time mom, which gives her more time with the kids, but leaves her without income. With 2 children to support, she takes them to the train station, where the familiar announcement repeats that the arriving train will not be stopping. Julie slowly steps toward the tracks, then stands there, frozen for a long time, saying nothing. For the sake of her children, she steps back from the edge. Instead, she takes them to the amusement park they've been dreaming about. But life is strange sometimes. Just when she has given up all hope, she suddenly receives a call from the company that interviewed her. They tell her she actually got the job, but the hiring manager had been out of town and forgot to contact her. Julie can hardly believe it, feeling luck finally land on her side. She can no longer hold back the flood of emotion and lets herself cry freely. If you're struggling with the weight of life too, don't give up. There is always a way forward. And here's to everyone fighting their hardest each day. Keep going. What you're working for will come.